very low budget movies in Poland during the communist times to the most gigantic one ever produced, like ones ever produced, like Harry Potter, or like very high budget movies like Black Hawk Down. So these movies were produced in 14 countries, in various cultures, mentalities, systems. Some of them were like the United States, where there is a real film industry. It is an industry. The difference between film production in the state and Poland is like between a factory and an artisanship. Everybody's working in the industry. And I noticed, thanks to my personal experience, that on the screen the product is more or less the same. It's better, you have a better, worse movie, but the way in which the movies are being made is totally different in different countries. Where does it stem from? From a very simple reason, because in every country, due to the change in technology, education, etc., a certain system is being developed, and the producers, the profession of a producer is a local profession. Certain experience do not transfer well. Of course, there is a big influence of, unfortunately, of in negative in most cases, of this biggest cinematography in the world, the American cinematography. It impacts how films are being made in Europe. What I will explain to you, especially for the fine arts students, is not exactly your part of experience, but I encourage you to be critical towards the reality that surrounds you. You're in a very important part of your life when you decide on your future. It's good to put a question mark. What you learn, which way the world around you goes, because we quite often follow the tracks that do not lead us towards the goal. And the topic of Cinebus arises from the fact that when I was finalizing my career in filmmaking, I decided to build a bus, the foundation of which I built. So a sort of a vehicle where you can make a movie from the beginning until the end, which is untypical for a film production. The film production will show you, to some extent, is built in a different way. But I came to a conclusion that you can try to make movies with the help of one sort of vehicle. We accept technological novelties, but we make it under the Sorry, could you ask Sławek to speak to the microphone, please? The way of producing movies is very often, in many cases, analog. But it works in such a way that new professions appear and old professions do not disappear. So quite often these crews are, they're bloated, they're growing, This also requires correction on the way of financing. I don't want to go too far into that because I don't want to go into too much detail on that. It does not apply to you directly because your career will be different. But you might... this is a picture of what I'm talking about. This is a special case of a filmmaker. I call this story the short life of a filmmaker. And here I'm showing something that is an absurd. When I saw this for the first time, I was totally taken aback that this is possible. These people are lining up to Mount Everest. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars together, and many of them die in this line every year, only to make a selfie on the top of the highest mountain in the world. This is an example of something that we can call, I would say, a sheep run, or a certain chasing a certain fashion, certain trend. The short life of a filmmaker, you get, as a filmmaker, you are born in the film school. This is me, with two girls. I really wanted to make a career like Polanski. When I started my career, Polanski was finishing his career. And the funny thing is that when as a lecturer, when I'm visiting various film schools, I always see this dream to be the Polanski. Not. I'm not talking about his sex crimes, but in the categories of dreams that you want to be the Polanski of the world. But this career will never happen. These are different times. You will not follow exactly. You will not have exactly the same career as he had. But everybody has their head. Young people have their heads in those traditions, in the childhood dreams, and they hold on to it, and they are not able to understand that in this world where big corporations make decisions, there's very little place for independent artists. Oh yeah, so this is the prince and the beggar. This is exactly what every filmmaker gets bumps against. On one hand, you have huge multi-million productions. On the other side, you have a young man, or an old man in this case. I was filming for Harry Potter then, who, looking at this craziness, because this production was something totally aberrant. You can't imagine how absurd it was. It's a place which has a zoo because they don't kill all those animals. They are there. So sometimes coming back, it's like a big factory hall where we had all this set design. After the filming set, when I was coming back to my van, to my truck, I had the white all flying among the vehicles. Of course, it was there were like some strange dogs, all these monsters that they have produced there. This is like a really crazy place. You could see them there. So the film school is the place which sort of petrifies us. Coming back to the film school, it petrifies bad habits in us. And when you graduate from a film school, you believe that somebody's waiting for you, and you have the same. The problem is that I'm sorry you haven't been here earlier. I think my opening address was much more interesting than this lecture. I know that quite often we climb a ladder, and on the top of the ladder you can see that you put your ladder against the wrong wall. In your case, the danger related to artificial intelligence is huge. This is a thing. When you study what you study, you really have to take into account. It is a thing that will change the life, not only yours, but also the filmmakers. You cannot plan your life now to climb any ladder if you don't have the feeling that within a few seconds, artificial intelligence generates incredible pictures. And this will be developing and developing, and you are not able to win in this race. This is what we tend to forget. I'm showing you here a thing that is an example of this. This is a photo camera with which my family was taking pictures, because I'm from a photographs family. My sister took over their photographic shop in the year 2000. She was still taking picture on this one. Right now, this is so absurd for you, and that means that shows the quickness of the change, the pace of the change. There are of course different cameras, but this incredible change of technology is just incredible. It's mind-boggling. I was making air shots like this. Who would do it like this right now? Natalie Portman came here to film Spring Open once, a few years ago. She's the godmother of Cinebus, and she invited me to be the DOP in her movie, which really shows the power of art. When she came here, she was sitting in the lecture room. The lecture room was full of people. It was packed, and when I greeted her, I said, several years ago, a small 13-year-old girl went to the cinema and saw the double life of Veronique. It's Kieślowski's movie, for which I was the DOP. What does it give to you? Because you don't know. We're welcoming Natalie Portman. And she came here because she invited me to be her DOP, because she saw, at once when she was a child, she saw the double life of Veronique, and she was so enthralled by this movie, and she remembered it so much that she decided that once she wants to make her feature debut, it would be worth to be the DOP, because she loved my cinematography. So this is she came here because I offered to her a new production model, and I proposed to her something that is on the contrary to the paradigm of a typical filmmaking, and as a thank you gift, because this film was made financially and organizationally without any problem. And this is very rare for the beginners. The beginners have problems with production, with logistics and time on the set, with the organization. She decided to sort of, as a thank you gift, she came here for free, and she has to get her security, etc., etc. She never moves without the security guys. And she came directly here as a thank you gift for my participation in her movie and helping her with the new production model. We didn't have Cinebus in those places, but we had other production elements. I was enthralled with the idea of Cinebus, and I started to build it. And the preparation of Cinebus was a big achievement. I will show you a film about this. It got three nominations in 1 year. Good. In order to build this Cinebus, it required a lot of planning work. The films are made through departments. It's a departmentalized work. So every department has their own vehicle. The executive producer have their van, the assistant have their van, the costume designer have their van, lighting have their trucks, not to mention the set designer's van. We also have grips, those who are responsible for the trolleys, for cranes, etc. Each department have their own car. In each of the car, quite often you have the same tools. That's all fine, but the production pays for that. These movies are so expensive because this is how you make them. We spend a lot of time building 3D models so that these all contrary interests of these departments to put them all together. This is also an example of planning life and considering how to make things in the right order to be more effective, to function better. This took most of my time. For me, this is the gist of planning, imagining what happens with our decisions, what will be the result, and how when this is built finally. Of course, we didn't manage to get everything in place. And this is the final result. Here is a typical way of thinking. So this is, for example, the loading space on this plan. Includes the equipment of 3 trucks. So you can have 3 trucks of equipment by using all the storage spaces in Cinebus. It is divided into a number of parts. On the top left-hand side, you have the actor's part. The actor can have a makeup here. Of course, it is not for big movies, but it is a perfect tool for making small-time movies. Here we have a kitchenette where you can rest. They are separated from the rest of the bus by a curtain. Here you have the production part, which allows you to produce the movies, to edit them already during the filming set. There's a dramatic case related to the old model of production. Janek Holubek came here today in the morning, the author of a movie about Tomasz Komenda and High Water, which you probably heard about. And he said how it is important for him to edit during the filming, not to leave that process for later. So this is extremely important. You can also make decorations here, or you can make film screenings on, and it's like a small studio where you can do everything. This is what it looks like from the top. The divisions, I don't want to talk too much about this, and the big shape is the tent, where you can make a small cinematic hall
or a small decoration, and you can have screenings. Right now, this is a part which is not interesting for the artist, but with every activity, money is important. I would like to remind you that in modern production, you have the new mechanisms of control and building. They relate to three basic elements. Modern production of anything. The risk control. Risk control consists in, let's say somebody came up with some software and he's building that, but a big corporation, Sony corporation, has this program. So why do you do that? We have no chance to win. And risk control is checking whether we're not doing the same stuff as other people do. But the matter of the risk control is much more complicated. I will come to that in a sec. It is agile. Agile production, agile manufacturing means you have to be flexible, and we don't follow certain schematic thinking and into a rut. And the third one, lean, green manufacturing. Our Cinebus has solar panels, and it's a one truck and not 10 trucks, which come to every set. Production of one feature movie uses as much energy as a normal family house during a year. So it's good to look at this, which is very important, that lack of risk control. The risk control can be a bit more costly, but the lack of risk control can be doubly risky. We can lose everything. Here, I put in this picture, which I like a lot. This toucan, when I was filming in the Ecuador, was waiting for my breakfast and was eating up my stuff. Another thing that I wanted to say about risk control when it comes to the movies is an absurd which has been in operation since ever. And even though there was a big technology shift, this one didn't change. The money a young person gets for the movie, a decision to make this movie or another, is done when you wrote a script, because the scripts go to the various commission. They read that script, they ask for maybe some mood boards or maybe some additional props, you write the script, write director's explication. However, despite that, sometimes you get scripts which are very highly praised and you get a very bad movie. And sometimes you get the scripts which are poor or they're poorly judged, but during the production of the movie, a good film is being made. So the risk control when it comes to making movies is based on the financial decision which is made when somebody wrote a script. This is absurd. And in a moment where you should do previs of such a movie. So you should do pre-visualization. It's a perfect tool. A young person makes a movie. So even if you do not have the actors, you're not able to pay for this, with your friends, you can make a certain type of previs. Photograph or film those scenes, and then you control the structure of the movies or length of the movies. When I was making my first movie as the director, this movie was 4.5 hours long. I spent 8 months in the editing room to make 2 hours out of a 4-hour movie. Nobody told me in the film school that, I could sort of expect that, but there is a certain window in TV or in distribution. No cinema owner would change the 2-hour system window, the 2-hour window system for a beginner. So this previs gives you a better control, and people don't do that. I know you're not specialist, and this will not tell you much, but this is on the right hand side. We have Ridley Scott's storyboards. He's the artist who really appreciates the visual part of the movie, and apart from the script, he has to have everything drawn. He's a great drawer himself, and he made the storyboards himself. This storyboard, for example, is a better tool than just a script. When I did Harry Potter, they put me in a corridor. The corridor was very long. It was like 50 meters long. On the left-hand side was half of the movie in drawings, in storyboards. And on the other hand side, there was the other part of the movie. And so when you were following when you were going down the corridor, you were following the story of the movie. The funny thing was, it was drawn in different styles because you couldn't find a single storyboarder that could do such an amount of work in such a time. So there were different kinds of drawings and different styles. So here is a very personal and dramatic thing. A great Polish director, Krzysztof Kieślowski, didn't die because he was of weak health, of poor health. It was because when he was making movies, he realized that in order for those movies to be good, he has to edit those movies while he's shooting them. He made this sort of this style of movies. They were not very literary. Jan Holubek is doing the films based on strong dramaturgy at the level of script, but Kieślowski films were very different, and they were like very original and unusual. So when we were finishing a filming day after 10-12 hours of filming, everybody went to sleep. He went to the other side of Paris when he was sitting until 1 or 2 a.m. in the night. And then he was coming back to the hotel where he was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and at 6 o'clock in the morning he had to go to the set again, and he was making 3 films, one after the other. So 3 colors were 3 feature films. So how much can your organism sustain the sleep deprivation? And that killed him. Now the funniest stuff, if you do not need an editing room, you can edit the film already on the set. But very few people do that, because the system divides production from post-production, and it's very difficult to remove certain mistakes in the post-production. So that's why we built the Cinebus. It has a post-production part. You will see that when we get there, that part of this bus, on the other hand, on the other side of the authors, from the actors part, are only computers. So these are computers for editing. You can already do color grading, but also introduce some visual effects. There's no problem with doing that on the set, and the director is not watching just some collated shots, but at the end of the day he just watches the whole scene, and he can decide whether it does have an emotional appeal or not. From general, just from I would say some general shots, it's very difficult to discern. Andrzej Wajda he had this feeling of the filming material. He could put this material together in his head. But this was an extraordinary feat. So this is one of the reasons why Cinebus is valuable from production perspective. And so this agile production allows us to produce quickly and fast. So this bus has everybody inside. There are no departments, no other vehicles. And because all this process of production and post-production is in one vehicle, the turnover is much quicker. The work turnover is is much quicker and costs less money. An example that I will show to you very fast. Making a movie is packing and unpacking. We get to the set, we unpack stuff, and when we finish the filming, we pack stuff. And this usually eats up about 1 hour a day. So saving half an hour a day on the logistics, packing and unpacking, after 2 months of shooting, gives you 2 shooting days. But if you have so many trucks and everybody feels they should be closer to the set, it's very difficult to manage this. And the chaos reigns everywhere at all times because nobody thinks about it. We have a generator there. We have our own grid. So people working there, regardless of whether you have phone connection or not, whether you're within a range or not, if you're anywhere like in the forest and the phone communication is down, you have your own internal network. The roof of this vehicle is reinforced. You can put 2 tons of equipment on top of it. What I've been showing you before. This is a lift that allows you to get all trolleys and all the tables which are foldable. You can put them inside. So when we're moving to the set, we can pack 2 trucks of equipment, as I told you. It's funny when you make a feature movie. You have a certain main location where you make most of your shots, but you have also secondary locations. So you select the main location and then you select the other ones very close to the primary one. But it is still a logistical problem. Our idea is that you build a tent next to the main location, and to the smaller locations you can go with the equipment with the Cinebus. And as I told you, in the tent you have. You can do the screening. So on one location, the editor is preparing his files. So the bus is docking next to the tent, and you have a screening. And people don't have to watch that on some small screens, but you can watch the film as if you were in the cinema. This is very important in order to get the right assessment. And what is also a certain historical problem. This is a typical parking in a TV show in the United States. This is not a big one, and this is the crew with whom I did the King Arthur. This is how many people were on the set. This is totally absurd, and all this can be changed with the use of this technology and working in smaller teams, sending from camera to the bus, editing and putting sound to the movie. This is the director's place. In front of the director's post, we have this sound engineer's post, so you can already add sound to the movie. If you do this all independently, it would cost you additional money because you would need so many companies to do that. In this bus, you can do all this without any problem. One thing that is also closely related to what you do. Right now, nothing exists without promotion. Even if you produce the best thing, the most beautiful thing, it does not exist without promotion. Young filmmakers, when they make a movie, so if you do your graphics or paintings or sculptures, whatever you specialize in, you hope to be discovered. The mechanisms of discovery are very, they're already worn out. So, for example, these used to be, the film festivals used to be such vehicles. Right now, we have so many film festivals. A few years ago, a director called Gajewski, he won the #1 festival in Poland, and I went a week later in the cinema in Warsaw to see that movie, and there were 5 people watching it. And he won a festival, the most important festival in Poland. So if we do not immediately, when we do any sort of project, if we do not think how to promote it, it would be very difficult to count on this. This is the problem of the artist. You're all egoistical, and you hope you count on other people discovering your talent. I mean, I wish that to you, of course, but I don't think it will happen. It's better to take this discovery into your own hands. And in movies, this is absolutely crucial. In Hollywood, they say that every dollar put in production is a lost dollar, and every dollar put in promotion is $1 gained. The importance of promotion is very important. We once created, here you have an example, where you do not have to, we make a movie, spend a lot of money. We were filming in a small town, for example. We had laser projectors. So this was made in a very, on a very bright day, not a sunny day, but bright day. In here, you have a very good image on a normal screen. It's from a laser projector. So the difference between from the money you have to invest in a LED screen or and a canvas canvas screen is 100 to 1. So you can also support yourself with other features. We also thought that you can make a stage on the top of the bus. You can make some sort of promotional events on top of it. We have our own website. We're making interviews with an actor who played in our scene, and we're showing that on this website. So during the production process, we already promote our production, and we really cannot forget about it. And of course, thinking about the future, this future will be changing. For example, right now many movies are being made in virtual film studios. So they can be on LED screens, or they could be on done as we do, which is much cheaper. And we have an English director and a great director who came here, and Piotr Sobociński, one of the best DOPs, and they will try to make scenes based on our back screen, and the cost of such projection are much smaller than the screening. Sorry, on the lead screen, on the LED screens that are very fashionable in Hollywood. Everything was made here on Film Spring Open by us. We're visited by Neil Corbould. He tends to get Oscar nominations every year. We had Juliette Binoche, Natalie Portman, I mentioned that. And of course, whatever we do, you have to be aware that this technology, our ideas, this will be the end. This is important to not to believe too much that we did it forever. There's no forever. You always have to question and put to doubt and criticize your own ideas. The modifications are necessary, because sooner or later our bus will end up in the dump. So thinking about your activities, whichever they are, should be always with a question mark. I don't remember who said that. Some writer said that he has an open door technique and closed door technique. First, he he writes and writes and writes. He doesn't control himself, and then he opens the door and gives it to other people, and then he reads it again after some time critically. He doesn't read it as a sort of author in a craze of creation, but as a recipient, as the audience. He's looking with the evil eye. He casts an evil eye on his own work. This sort of thinking will protect you from failure. Which is worth remembering. And so much of my sermon. If you wish, I can take you to the bus and I will show you what does it look like in reality. But it's very difficult to talk there. So, but before that, it's not a place for such a number of people. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them now. No, let's go to the bus. Thank you.